Not 3, that's too much company.
Nailed it. Hello and welcome to the first episode of a brand new podcast, Two's Company, hosted by nutritional therapist Grace Kingswell, that's me, and cold water swimmer Sophie Hellyer.
Titles aside, we're going to be delving into subject matters throughout this podcast that fall outside of our professional remits, but very much inside our collective sphere of interest. Topics will range from food to feminism, period to politics, social commentary, health, nutrition, and mutual love of the ocean, and probably anything else that we feel like talking about, really.
Exactly. So welcome to our carefully curated ramble chat, where we hopefully make you feel like you're having a good old natter with your best mate at a time where seeing each other is probably not possible.
And I just want to mention that this episode is sponsored by Treedom Trees, the first web platform in the world for planting a tree remotely and following its story online.
The discount code is Two's Company, all in capitals, for 10% off at the checkout on treedom.net. The code can be used once per person and expires at the end of 2021.
Okay then, Grace, should we get on with the episode?
Yeah, let's do it.
Shall I start?
Band meeting.
Band meeting. Grace?
Yes, present.
Sophie? Present.
No one understands that this whole podcast is basically an excuse for us to pretend that we're in Flight of the Conchords.
That's correct. Apologies in advance for any really bad accents that we slip into.
Or segues.
So, Grace, I have read 2 articles recently that declare the skinny jean is dead. I'm going to read a little quote from Elle magazine. After years of riding high, this style is now the bedridden former rock star of denim, clinging on for dear life as it watches its younger, peppier counterparts steal the limelight. Sure, Kate Moss is still wearing them occasionally, but she's Kate Moss, and I, sadly, am not.
Oh my God, Claudia Winkleman is going to have a heart attack.
So as a self-declared denim connoisseur, Grace Kingswell, I thought you might want to pass some comments on this.
Well, yes. Firstly, it saddens me. I think the skinny jean was this thing that happened that spoke to everyone from all classes, socioeconomic backgrounds, interest in fashion or not. And it was really very easy to wear. You could just throw a skinny jean on with a nice jumper, some oversized white linen shirt, a pair of nice flats or a boot, and you kind of looked together and ready to go. I do think there's a huge difference between a skinny / straight leg jean that's good quality denim and then the sort of like peel on lycra-esque.
Yeah, I have to say, I think I remember when the jegging came out and I definitely owned
several
pairs of jeggings in the mid-noughties somewhere.
Yeah,
I think that was like the bastardization of the skinny jean. It was started to go downhill from the jegging, didn't it?
But the reason I still own a pair of skinny jeans.
I thought you were going to say jeggings then?
No, they are on their last legs, but they are so great for winter because they're really warm and they keep your ankles cozy. You know, these cropped, high-waisted mum 90s style jeans, of which I am a huge fan. Cold ankles, that's all I'm saying.
I wore skinny jeans for like a decade and I found it really hard to get out of them. But
yeah.
I have to, I sold my last pair of skinny jeans on Depop in lockdown and I have to say I don't think I'll get back into them now. I'm going to find it really hard.
Also, didn't you break the zip putting them on for the Depop? We did that Depop
that was a pair before. Yeah, I did break a zip.
Oh, but sold them anyway. Such is the power of Sophie Hellyer's Depop.
Yeah, and I also wanted to mention that the elastane that you find in your typical skinny jeans or jeggings is generally really bad for the environment and unrecyclable. So what I hope is that the shift towards like the mom jeans and the non-stretch jeans is actually like a shift in wider fashion in general to kind of a bit more sustainability minded.
But jeans are terrible anyway, aren't they? Because they require how many gallons of water? Like insane amount to make a pair of jeans.
Yeah.
But I also think that, so there's this very interesting idea that I think differs between, let's say, fashionable Parisians and Europeans and us Brits, which is that we look at a pair of jeans as something that's to be thrown on when you need something comfy, like a around the house, you know, do everything pair of trousers. But denim as it was originally made, stiff, rigid, high-waisted denim, like a Levi's 501, it's not comfortable.
No.
And actually, you know, there's a lot of people that say, I think it's Alexa Chung is really famous for saying jeans should not be comfortable, and that's where it goes wrong with in terms of like fashion and...
Yeah, I had a great chat with my partner Johnny about this yesterday, because he was saying it's funny how the jeans have kind of become the number one trouser, like, and they still are like 100 years later, and they first started as a very utilitarian kind of more workwear thing than anything of comfort, and now we're expecting them to be comfy.
Yeah, and they're only comfy when you've worn them day in, day out for like over a year. The 501s that I have.
I am a genuine believer that you only need one really good pair of jeans, and if you love them, you'll put them on every day.
Yes, but have you found that pair? Because it's impossible.
So I have found this pair, but the issue is they were £2.50 from a charity shop, and they're Gap 90s high-waisted, like what you'd call a mom jean, I guess, like similar to a 501. But I am now terrified that these jeans will break or die at some stage, and I won't be able to find a replacement.
I'm sure you can reuse, recycle, take them to a tailor and have a patch put in or something.
Maybe. I also have to just when you were saying that the skinny jean, when you first got it, it went with everything. I remember like in the mid-noughties, I was really into like high tops. You have high top trainers.
Oh, so many.
And then you started wearing the skinny jean and it just did not go with the high top trainer.
What do you mean it didn't go?
Oh my God, my shoes look so chunky and terrible. I had to sell all my high tops.
Oh, no, I wore a lot of high tops.
With skinny jeans?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, your feet look massive.
Maybe because I'm taller than you and I've got quite small feet for my height, I got away with it.
I love how we're talking for 5 minutes about jeans as if we're really denim connoisseurs. And in fact, Grace is wearing sweatpants and I'm wearing leggings.
Oh, I can't get out of my trackies. Okay, well, let's move on. But listeners, send us your thoughts. What's the email address?
It's Two's Company Shiz, SHIZ, @gmail.com.
There you go.
Okay, so moving on to something slightly more political than jeans.
Which is a very relevant and important topic, I must say. Like, I will talk about denim for a whole episode if the people want it.
So I wanted to chat about the Free Britney documentary that's just come out. So if anyone hasn't seen it, and isn't aware, the US documentary Framing Britney Spears investigates whether Britney is now being held prisoner by a legal guardianship imposed after her breakdown 13 years ago. It has just hit British screens. If you haven't watched it yet, it's streaming on Now TV and you can watch it with a free 7-day trial. It is a very well curated kind of medley of interviews and footage and commentary. But what I did think was really interesting was that it provided kind of a timeline, like a reconstruction of Britney's life and career from like a 2021, post Me Too, they say, lens.
I think what's really interesting about it is that for a lot of people, myself included, it was news to us that she was even under a conservatorship, whatever the word is.
Conservatorship?
Because, I remember talking to my husband, Nick, about it. I was like, did you know that Britney is basically like a prisoner in her own home? And she posts all of these videos and things on her Instagram that basically like a cry for help. And he was like, no, it's ridiculous. Like, don't be silly. And then you go to her Instagram and you have a look and it's really, really eerie and very, very
and her
disconcerting.
fans question whether it's even her posting on her Instagram or whether it's her father or a member of staff. And yeah, I've been aware of the Free Britney movement for probably over a year now. And I remember sending it to you about 5 months ago and you were like, what is this? What are you on about?
I know. Because these people are such huge parts of our lives and then they disappear from your consciousness and you kind of get on with it and you forget that there's really shady stuff happening. I think what is super interesting now is that celebrities, and actually I think this is a really good thing about social media, is that celebrities like, I don't know, Taylor Swift, whoever it is, they have so much more control over their public image because they use Instagram and they can kind of curate that and they can have boundaries and limits. Whereas Britney was, and actually I don't think anyone's made the parallel yet between, what happened to Princess Diana, like the hounding by the press is kind of the same thing. And thankfully that's died off a bit, hasn't it, for modern day celebs?
Yeah, I think that if you look back in the press over the last 20 years or so as we've been growing up, you could list countless women that have literally been chewed up and spat out by the media for profit. And, when we look back now, we can see that's really wrong. You look at Jade Goody and Monica Lewinsky and Amy Winehouse, Charlotte Church. There's all these women. The countdown to Charlotte Church being 16 so she could lose her virginity as like a website.
Yeah.
But look looking back now, we can see that was really wrong. But let's just set the scene a minute. Like when Britney's number one, Hit Me, Baby, when that came out, I was 11 and you were?
Probably 10 or 11. Wait.
A few years younger. I'm 33.
Oh, okay, 3 years less than 11.
Yeah. So I was 11 when Britney Hit Me Baby came out.
8. I was 8.
right? So this is like, we were very young, impressionable girls at this stage. I was 15 or 16 when Crimea River, Justin Timberlake came out, which was like meant to be her in the video as their breakup song. And I remember very vividly, like, watching that video on MTV Music Channel and being like, "Oh, it's meant to be Britney. She must have cheated on him."
Did you believe it, though? Because I fully believed it.
Totally believed it. I was a huge Justin fan, went to see him live in show.
Wow.
And I was very much, like, sucked in by the media. So, like, I didn't like Britney. I liked Justin.
I think the one thing about this that is so shocking is how, and he has apologized for it, but how Justin Timberlake used the whole situation to essentially advance his career. You know, he used the misogynistic society that we live in and still do live in to take advantage of what was happening to Britney, and the fact that you know, she was having a tough time to advance his career. And he has apologized for that, and he has said,
quoting from his Instagram,
"I also feel compelled to respond in part because everyone involved deserves better, and most importantly, because this is a larger conversation that I wholeheartedly want to be part of and grow from. The industry is flawed. It sets men, especially white men, up for success. It's designed this way. As a man in a privileged position, I have to be vocal about this. Because of my ignorance, I didn't realize it for all that it was while it was happening in my own life. But I do not want to ever benefit from others being pulled down again." And then he goes on and he finishes with, "I care deeply about the well-being of people I love and have loved. I can do better and I will do better."
What do you think about that apology?
Well, when I read it, I thought that it sounded really sincere, but then you told me that there's stuff going around that maybe he didn't write it, or...
Yeah, no, I think there's like discussion around whether it's enough, and like personally, it's just so late.
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude, you and Britney are like 40 now, and you've only just realised that you were like being a sexist twat when you were talking about taking her virginity in the media. Like, really? You've only just apologising for it now?
Yeah.
And
I don't know whether
it's a great apology, and it's better late than never. But,
yeah. And we have to think, like, it might not have been his idea to put a lookalike of her in his music video. It may have just been his A&R man, but it happened, and it's really unfair and really shit.
But it's really like, it's taken Me Too for us to acknowledge the like rampant misogyny that's in the music industry.
Yeah. And just look at how we all kind of salivated on the downfall of Amy Winehouse and what happened to her.
Well, I was like, this is when I was like saying, let's set the scene. Like, what we grew up as normal was like the Mail Online sidebar of shame, Heat magazine circling everyone's cellulite. Like, I've got some examples here of the questions Britney was asked. There was one part in that documentary where a 60-something-year-old male host of a TV talent show she was singing on asked her, she was 10, asked her if he could be her boyfriend.
I know, that was really shocking.
And, you know, she was questioned on her virginity, her breasts, her boyfriends, like all of these topics relentlessly. And that was just normal for us as girls, for that to be like what women were questioned about and talked about.
Yeah, and the saddest thing is that she felt like she had to reply really politely and kind of, you know, brush it off and everything, whereas in 2021, if you were asked that question, you'd probably speak your mind.
Yeah, I'm really thankful that we now have the language to kind of talk about, you know, Me Too and body positivity and gaslighting and the mental health awareness, and we like have the language to talk about this so much better. I still can't form a sentence though.
And just to finish on that, I just want to read a quote from the FT this weekend from Mia Levitin. I hope I'm saying her name right, but all of these links are in the show notes. And her piece is on how, you know, we actually were also implicit in this downfall. And she says, "What a gut punch to realise that I had failed to see the humanity of the woman behind the punchlines." And we all did.
Yeah, the documentary really made me empathise with Britney, and, you know, so much of what she went through as a young woman was just really messed up. It reminds me of the parallels with, you know, what I experienced as a young woman. You know, for instance, how Britney was sexualised at such a young age, you know, put on a global platform, wearing a school uniform at 16 and just objectified. As a young surfer, I was... like sexualized and objectified from the age of 14. I was told to go to photo shoots instead of doing surfing competitions. I was told to wear a bikini, even though in real life I'd have been wearing a wetsuit. And for me, you know, that was really damaging and destructive for my mental health. So I can only begin to imagine how damaging that must have been for Britney. And it was only in my 30s that I started to take control of, well, kind of my late 20s, 30s, I took control and said, no, I'm not modeling in a bikini anymore. And I took control of my voice and my image. And I think what's really sad about Britney, and what the documentary showed us, was that now, even at the age of about 40, she still has no control of her image or her voice or even her life. You know, I sincerely hope that we as viewers and as a society will learn to stop treating women this way. I think we need to start treating each other like humans. This episode is sponsored by Treedom, the only online platform in the world where you can have someone plant a tree for you and then follow it online. Every tree is planted, photographed and geolocated so you can follow its story.
Treedom ensures that every tree planted brings social benefits as well as environmental ones. Not only do the trees protect biodiversity and help with global CO2 absorption, they also provide direct funding and training in sustainable land management to local farmers.
Treedom also contributes to 10 of the Sustainable Development Goals, a collection of 17 global goals set by the United Nations to end poverty and protect the planet. I shall definitely be gifting a tree to my mum and stepmum for Mother's Day, which is coming up.
Lovely. What a good idea. So if you do want a thoughtful, environmentally and socially sound gift, head to treedom.net and use the discount code TWOSCOMPANY, all in capitals, for 10% off at the checkout. The code can be used once per person and expires at the end of 2021. Thank you very much to Treedom.
Thanks, Treedom. Plant more trees.
This, we didn't talk about this as a segue, and actually this is screwing with our running order.
Go on.
But in terms of, you know, just that idea of dressing like a child and sexualizing that, we were going to talk about body hair because I think it's quite topical. But how do you feel about, you know, women that get, and like each to their own, totally fine, women that get a full, what's it called, a Hollywood, everything off. Essentially, you're reverting back to how your vagina, vulva would have looked when you were a child. A lot of men find that attractive. A lot of women really enjoy that process of removing that hair. How do you then feel about that in regards to what we were just talking about, you know, the sexualization of children?
Yeah. So I have many thoughts on this.
I thought you might.
Firstly, we're talking about body hair because Grace was waxing her legs yesterday, and I was like, "What's the occasion?" She said, "Good question."
Can I? I would also just like to set the scene. So I did wax my legs yesterday, and my underarms, and my bikini line. Prior to this, I think my leg hair had got to 1.5 centimeters long, and my underarms, I've never seen them that bad. I don't have a problem with body hair at all. Like I'm often very hairy. I've always waxed my legs, which means I quite often have leg hair because you have to wait like 4 or 5 weeks to wax them again. I don't know why I did it. I think it's because I'm hoping I'm going to play tennis soon, but also because purely from a practical point of view, when you leave it too long, it's really, really painful if you ever do then want to wax again. So,
okay. So you may think body hair is a trivial topic, but I actually think that my hairy armpits are a bit of a political statement. So I think the hairy armpits definitely hark back to like the second wave feminist movement when women were burning their bras and challenging restrictive beauty standards. So there's several things that I'm not okay with. I'm going to give you my bullet points. One, modern culture's preoccupation with keeping women plucked and smooth, like you said, is like suggesting there's something like inherently gross about body hair or women's bodies as they naturally are. Two, it's kind of making us look like children, right? We're like being this hairless child, which is exactly what you said. It's going back to this, like keeping us in this state of innocence. Three, the time, money and energy spent on it is just oppressive. Like men are not spending this much time and money on their beauty regimes. And four, it's just fucking painful.
Yeah, from a very practical perspective, and maybe this is only because I have waxed my armpits, you know, if I had never touched it, then I wouldn't think anything different. Do you not get way more sweaty under your arms if you're hairy?
No, I think I'm just sweaty regardless. But so I have to also say, although I have hairy armpits and great hairy bush at the moment, I do shave my legs and I do wax my eyebrows. So I think, and this is what you were saying about like sometimes I love to shave my legs and I feel like it's like pampering, but I just think that it was ingrained on me by such a young age that having hair was unattractive. That even though now I've like studied feminism for nearly a decade, I still can't like get myself out of that societal conditioning. So, you know, I remember I probably started shaving my legs at the age of like 11 or 12 because some of the older girls in school were like, we'll teach you how to shave your legs. And then I remember if you had hairy legs in school in PE, the boys would like literally point and laugh at you, like you would be mocked for having hairy legs.
Yeah, I think
So,
that was it for me as well. It was the fear of people, mainly boys, looking at me and thinking that I was gross.
yeah, and like as a young girl, a huge part of my value I was put on like how attractive I was to men, and I don't feel like that nowadays at all. But like I just think for so many years it was drilled into me that having hairy legs and hairy armpits was unattractive. So it's hard to shake that.
So your armpits are a statement, but you're happy to shave your legs.
Yeah, so this is what my kind of thing is that I have like my legs shaved, look good, my eyebrows waxed and tinted, looking good. I'm like keeping it like pretty on the top, and then under my armpits is just like a little feminist fuck you. I'm showing Grace my armpit.
But I just think, but if you wanted to have a huge feminist fuck you, wouldn't you just have everything hairy?
I'd love to, but I do right now.
It's
Like no one's seen my legs, they're so
conditioning.
hairy. But
Yeah.
like, and also like for so many years of my life, taking my hair off was like my way of pampering and treating myself. So like it still feels like that to me, even though I have very conflicting thoughts about it.
Yeah, and actually, to be honest, yesterday waxing my legs was something to do that was keeping me away from working at my computer and also the housework.
Yeah. So as much as my feminist thoughts think that I should just be hairy and it's totally natural and okay, also as soon as lockdown's over, I can't wait to go and have a bikini wax and get my eyebrows done.
Yeah,
because it's like we're a part of the society that's a problem, and we've been just conditioned by our whole lives. It's
and you
so hard
also
to get
went
away from
on
that
to have
thinking.
a career in modelling, so you probably could not have turned up to a shoot with hairy armpits.
Yeah, I mean, I actually shaved my legs last week because I had to do some photos with Johnny for a casting, and I was like, my legs were anyway. So just to clarify, I think it's totally up to a woman's choice, and that is a part of feminism. Like if you want to shave. If you don't want to shave, don't shave, whatever feels good for you. But I just want us to kind of dismantle why we are shaving and get people to think a little bit deeper about the process.
And if you Google body hair lockdown, there are so many articles online now about this, and all the glossy mags writing about it. And I came across one really interesting quote just from a normal gal, Alyssa Leclerc. She's 29 years old and she's an actress from London, writing in Glamour magazine. And she says, I was at a talk about the beauty industry and feminism, and the woman presenting talked about the fetishization, I can never say that word, of women being hairless because it made their partner see them as younger. Exactly what you were saying, Soph. And that has stuck with me since then. I've always been adverse to it because I have really sensitive skin and it was very hard. But it also painted the idea for me that I couldn't shake, that people were profiting off men's fetishization. Why do I have to say it again? Of younger women.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant quote.
And it's so true, because actually now, if all women decided to never wax or shave anything ever again, a whole sector of industry would lose their jobs.
Yeah, it's a slightly different subject that you might cringe when I say it, but I saw a poll online. Like obviously waxing is painful, and yes, you get accustomed to it, but it's painful. I saw a poll the other day, and it was like 50,000 people on someone's Instagram voting whether they have anal sex because they enjoy it or because whether their partner enjoys it, but they don't. And 50% of women were having anal sex because their partner enjoys it, but they don't. And I was just thinking, if you reverse that, you really think 50% of men are going to let you shove something up their arse if they don't enjoy it? In the same way, like I'm not seeing like men are not going out and ripping all their body hair off for us to enjoy that. Like, no, like, anyway, look, hair happens. It's natural.
Yeah.
Let's
Let us know what
dismantle
you think.
some dubious norms around it if you want to. And
I'm enjoying my hair-free legs. It feels very strange. You know when you shave or wax your legs and then you go to bed and it's like it feels very strange in the bed sheets.
Yeah. Oh my god, clean bed sheets and freshly shaven is really good.
Okay.
Moving on from my hairy muff to my muff.
Yeah, but okay, vagina facts. Vagina,
Vulva,
labia,
clitoris, notorious, VAG. Vagina facts.
I don't know why we've decided to do this as a segment, but we have, and we might actually run out of facts, but we wanted to...
Grace and I had a walk the other day and we both told each other something that was quite interesting about the vagina, and I said, that's interesting, we should tell other people about that, so here it is.
Okay, tell me yours.
Right, I saw this on the, I think it's called like the British Vagina Museum, their Instagram. So have you ever found lighter patches in your darker underwear?
Well, you asked me this, and actually thinking about it, no, I don't think so.
Okay, because I do. In all my, like, I buy these, like, nice, my favourite Pico pants. They're, like, organic, sustainable, cotton, high-waisted black pants. And after a few months, they have, like, light stains inside them. And I didn't know, like, it looks like they've been bleached. Mm-hmm. What I have discovered is this is totally normal. The vagina is acidic and has a pH of 3.8 to 4.5. And this is acidic enough to bleach fabric. So the spots and stains are not from blood or discharge. It's actually just where the material's been bleached by my perfectly healthy vagina.
Amazing. And actually, that kind of leads on to what I was going to tell you about, because mine is a nerdy health thing around like vaginal microbiome. Anyway, I was introduced this week to this, not concept of, scientific thing called microchimerism, which is basically where cells from your body are found in another person. So, for example, when your mum gives birth to you, she has some of your cells and you have some of her cells. If you are the second or third child in a family, you will have your mother's cells and all the cells of your siblings too, which is totally gnarly.
Well, I'm the fourth child, so tell me what.
Yeah, so you have cells in your body from all of your siblings and your mum and your dad.
Ooh,
so
sisters in me.
You could make a song out of that. Oh, my sisters in me. Okay, so I listened to this fantastic podcast episode. I'll put it in the show notes. It's called the FX Medicine Podcast. And this is like a really great, I think this is also a really great feminist issue, because basically when you have sex for the first time as a woman, that first injection of semen into your body, they're now showing that it dictates how your immune system expresses itself. So, and actually this was brought to really harsh light when I was on a call with a client this week. For those new to this podcast, I'm a nutritional therapist and I see I have clinical practice and patients, etc. And she was telling me how she's always suffered really badly with thrush and UTIs, and they started and haven't stopped. They started many years ago after having a boyfriend for the very first time. And she always said that she had like weird discharge after having sex with him, and he had really bad semen. Like, it's got to be that, it changed the ecology, her gut ecology and her vaginal microbiome, and changed how her because the gut and the immune system is so linked.
I have two comments on this. Firstly, when you say bad semen, and is it if they have an unhealthy diet, or is it genetic? Do you know anything around that, or is it just like their genetic code and your genetic code, or like what's? I
think I need to re-listen to the episode, but I think it's a combination of both. Okay. Because one other thing that they were talking about that I thought was very interesting was that if, for example, if you were to sleep with two guys in one evening, your body chooses, and you didn't use like contraception or anything like that, your body will choose the better semen, the sperm that's like more virile, healthier, gonna make a healthier baby. How amazing is that? So it's not who goes first. It's not like you have sex with that one person first, their sperm gets to fertilize your egg. Literally, your body, if you then have sex with someone else, it will be like, hold on a sec, this is better, I'm gonna chuck you out because survival of the fittest.
I've heard that before about the egg choosing when and what sperm it lets in. So it's actually like we unconsciously have more control than we think. So your first fact about the first guy you sleep with, his sperm kind of determines how your immune system
not completely, obviously, but like plays a part.
Yeah. So firstly, I found that fascinating, and then secondly, I found it quite upsetting. My first sexual experience was at 14 and non-consensual, and I was just like thrown into this space of like even more absolutely fuck you at that guy, like. Yeah, I didn't give you permission for that, and now actually that's something that's going to affect me for the rest of my life in some way. Like, that's fucking horrible.
Well, yes, but also like we have to all remember that we do have the opportunity to influence the way our immune system expresses ourselves through lifestyle, diet. It's not just genetics; it's epigenetics, and epigenetics is like everything that you do outside of your genetic code that then influences your genes, because you can turn on genes and you can turn off genes. So, for example,
just to clarify, we're talking about genes as in jeans, not jeans as in jeans.
Oh,
now.
Denim, no. So, for example, like in my family, there's like breast cancer runs in the family. I may have the gene for that, but my body it's not going to necessarily be expressed and then become an issue. And the reason that might be is because of the way I live my life, the diet I choose to have, the way I detoxify my hormones, what pathways they go down. So yes, whilst it is really shocking, I think there's also we need to remember that we are also in control of our destiny and our health ultimately. And lastly, the other really interesting thing from that episode, which I encourage people to listen to, but it is quite sciencey, is that I've totally forgotten what I was going to say. Oh yes, if your partner that you want to make a baby with is not in the best of health and he has unhealthy sperm, it basically requires way more energy and way more input from the mother to carry a healthy pregnancy. So men, if you do want to make babies with your wives or your girlfriends or whoever, be healthy because it makes a difference.
Grace Kingswell, nutritionist.com, something.
Mic drop.
Okay, so the next section is something that we might stick in as a little regular segment. Do you want to introduce it?
Is this what we've been loving this week or the mailbag?
Oh, well, what we disagree on?
Oh, what we disagree on.
Yeah,
okay,
snappy.
But, I've got confused with my pieces of paper.
I don't have any notes, so I'm just letting you go.
Okay, so we thought it would be really interesting because we didn't basically just want to be an echo chamber with this podcast. We wanted to actually have conversations that mattered. And the reason we started this is because Sophie and I often have conversations that mattered, but we don't always agree, do we, Soph?
No, and I think that it's a really great part of our friendship is that however much we do agree on and however much we spend time together and however much we love each other, there are lots of things that, both trivial and quite big subjects that we disagree on. And I think that's healthy to have in a friendship, to be able to challenge each other and have kind of conversations that would be conflict, but grow through them and be okay with it.
Yeah. And most recently we've been having some quite weighty conversations about the oat milk question, which is kind of going off on my Instagram. And whilst we're not going to discuss that here, we do just want to say that although we're going to discuss something very trivial, that those weighty conversations matter to us, but we find them hard and we won't shy away from having them on the podcast. That being said, what's one thing that we disagree on, Soph?
So I'm going to use this one because I think it's relevant to today's chat. And actually, I think it's going to be me who has to question my reasoning behind it. We strongly disagree on tights.
Yes.
I love tights. I think they are sexy and...
But I've never seen you wear them.
Oh, I do wear... Well, I mean, I don't wear them much in Cornwall. I wore them more in London.
Yeah.
But I think they keep your legs warm. And when I thought about this subject, I was going to say, they leave something to the imagination. And I was like, that's like the least feminist thing ever. Like, fuck leaving something to someone's imagination. Like, if you want to have your legs out, have your legs out.
Yeah.
But anyway, I love tights. They hide my hairy legs. They keep me warm. And I think they look great.
Okay, so a few things there. Firstly, I don't believe they hide hairy legs because if you have leg hair that's as long as mine on a normal basis, it pokes through the tights. I'm just going to say that. Secondly, so my best friend from school, and maybe I can call her and get her to send us a quote because she has never worn trousers. She does not wear trousers. I think she did buy a pair of jeans last year, but she never really wears them. She wears skirts and tights every day. She'll wear a pair of trackies to walk the dog or do some exercise and stuff. And she wears tights all throughout the winter, and then in the summer she's just bare legs the whole time. And then in October she puts her tights back on again. This particular friend in question is called Tiggy, and I caught up with her to see what she had to say on the matter.
So interestingly, on my research mission about tights, it was clear to me that, as with many things, men got there first and then we get the leftovers. Men actually wore tights through the 18th and 19th century. I can find references as far back as the 18th century of men wearing these kind of gartered tights with their breeches. And women didn't really wear tights until the 20th century at a push. I've got a late reference from 1897 in the 19th century, but that was really just for performers, acrobats and dancers. And it was seen as particularly unsightly to see a woman in tights. However, the reasons I think why I would defend them to the death is probably the similar idea as to why things like Sweaty Betty and Lululemons have really taken off recently. Firstly, for their opacity. I love that you can have extremely hairy legs and pale legs and nobody would know about it. And I like that I can keep that a secret just to me and yet still give off a professional and presentable appearance. Secondly, I think for the support, a similar reason with the rise of the leggings that we see, the sort of power leggings and all these very high-waisted, structured leggings, I feel are probably inspired by tights. And I love the support they give. You just feel very, I don't know, you get a nice sort of smooth line under lots of clothes with a nice pair of high-waisted tights. You can also buy ones that have a bit of support built in, which I think is great. Also the warmth. Weirdly, I feel they are much warmer than wearing jeans. We all know that having more thin layers is better than having one thick layer. So tights seemingly are extremely warm, and they go with everything. A nice pair of black opaque tights will go with any colour, any outfit, and can be worn in all occasions. I also like that you can buy ones with fleece lining, equally good for the blizzard we had just last month. I have many more reasons why I love tights, but these are just a few.
And Tiggy would very much like it to be known that this research into tights is ongoing.
Great.
One, I think, as much as I love her, tights are really bad for the planet, aren't they? Because especially you can only really get a winter's use out of them. They have to chuck them out and get new ones.
I spent like £20 on some eco tights that are somehow eco. I don't know, recycled plastic bottles or something. I can't wear tights more than twice without tearing them.
Oh,
a dog's
that doesn't
claw
surprise me about you.
Over.
That does not surprise me about you. Also, back to the whole vagina vulva thing, it's very important to let that area of the physiology breathe.
So is it?
Yes.
They were discussing this on the Guilty Feminist podcast, and they were like, is there actual science that shows you that it's good to let the vagina breathe, or is that just something like my mum told me when I was a kid?
So I am just like freeballing off the top of my head here. Grace, this is Grace from the future. I just wanted to let you know that what you really mean here is freestyle. Apparently freeballing is when men let their balls hang freely. And I would have to look into the research, but the vaginal microbiome is very important for maintaining health in that area. So just like we have gut bugs in our digestive system, we also have bugs in our vaginal canal, and keeping those bugs in the right levels, so not having any dysbiosis, not letting them overgrow, is what stops us from having thrush and issues with that area, BV, bacterial vaginosis, that lots of women suffer from.
I've had it.
Yeah, I've had it many times too. And I think, bacteria multiply under certain conditions. Like they love sugars. They also like warmth, I believe. So, constantly wearing tight-fitting, lycra-y nylon clothing and knickers that aren't cotton, my guess is that it allows bacteria to proliferate if there are those opportunistic strains.
I have a really important question.
It's really hot down there.
Do you wear knickers to bed under your pyjama bottoms then?
Absolutely not, no. But
I
so
do.
many people do. Why?
Well, because otherwise you get discharge in your bed or in your pyjama bottoms.
Yeah, but
then you'd have to change your pyjama bottoms every day.
Yeah, so I just change my pyjama bottoms every day.
You're such a clean person.
I know. No, I think, honestly, it is really important to let that area breathe. And, looking back centuries, women just wore really long skirts and they wore kind of, big shorts type frilly cotton knicker things, but we never had that tight fitting stuff.
So not only should we burn our bras, have hairy armpits, we should also throw our knickers in the bin.
Yeah. And I get it, because, there are times of the month where you do have heavier discharge and you might want to wear a pair of knickers then.
I'm a very dischargey person. TMI, sorry, not sorry.
Well, I'm not going to name names, but I was on Instagram recently, and one follower was asking a very, very high-profile fitness influencer what underwear she wears under her gym leggings, and her answer was zero underwear. And you and I had a conversation.
I know exactly
we were like,
what you're talking about.
how does she get away with this? Doesn't she just leak through her knickers? Also, as we get older, I just find that that's way more of a problem.
Okay. Well, I feel like we've talked a lot about the notorious VAG.
Yeah. Are we done? Have we finished? Oh, no, wait, we had some cues.
Mailbag.
Do you want
to go with the question first?
I think also we're going to need some sort of a jingle. Nick Kingswell, if you're listening, can we have a mailbag? You've got mail, from the film.
You've got mail.
When old...
I know. I'm just leaving a bit quiet in case he wants to put in some audio there.
Like on old computers.
I'm leaving a silent bit for him to put the jingle in.
Oh, thanks, Soph, but he can do that later. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Soph. I can do that.
Okay, so we opened up our Instagram at Two's Company Shiz. By the way, we just couldn't get Two's Company. That's why it's Two's Company Shiz.
And shiz means shit, stuff, and awesome things all at the same time.
Yeah. So, Soph, kick us off with the questions that you received that you'd like to give answers to.
Okay, I'm just getting one on my phone here. This was one that I thought was quite fun and easy to answer. Shall I say who it's from?
I don't know.
I've done it already.
Okay.
It's from Will. I won't say your second name. You know who you are. Sophie, how much of Grace's nutritional advice do you follow? Barring eggs and veg, of course.
I love this question so much.
So firstly, eggs and veg, for anyone who isn't aware, Grace just released an ebook with recipes and information about why
Protein-based breakfasts
are great for your health.
Yeah.
And I spent many, many, many years of my life eating sugary cereals for breakfast or white bread toast. And I have recently, in the last few months, transitioned into eating eggs, kale, mushroom tomatoes, and sweet potatoes, and kimchi, and all kinds of other things for my breakfast.
How do you feel?
I have been loving having a big, especially because it's been locked down and you can have a bit of a slower morning. I've been loving having a big breakfast. But even more excitingly for you, Grace, Johnny, my partner, who doesn't really listen to our health advice, love you, Johnny, told me yesterday morning, he said to me, can you cook me eggs and veg too? I'm really loving having an eggs and veg breakfast.
Oh my gosh! I can't believe I've got through to Johnny. This is the man that knows everything.
Johnny had eggs and veg yesterday and today for breakfast.
That is so good.
Yeah. So I listen to and take a lot of Grace's advice, and I think like she's definitely an expert in her field and really knows her stuff. However, I am just not ready to give up gluten. I just can't. Like, I love bread and I love pasta, and I just think at the moment I'm not like ill or unhealthy enough to give up something I love so much. And I know I could be, I know that if I saw Grace as a patient, I could probably make my period pains better. I could have better energy levels. I know I could have like a slightly higher quality of life, but I am not ready to give up gluten or oat milk.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? For people, it's like you reach a certain point and those are the people that I see in my clinic, the ones that have reached that point and they've realized that actually, like, it doesn't matter what I do now. It doesn't matter what I need to do. I just need to get better. And also just on that, sometimes it's not the gluten or the dairy. Sometimes it's actually just your immune system. And if you fix that, you can eat a life that's rich in all different types of foods. I do have a podcast coming out, might be this week, might be next week, called Should Everyone Be Gluten-Free? So look out for that. Shall I go for a question?
Yeah, you go for a question.
Okay. Do you find Deliciously Ella recipes to have good enough nutritional value? No. So...
Next question. No.
I'll just elaborate a little bit. So I really like how this person has phrased the question to have good enough nutritional value. If it was just to have good nutritional value, the answer would be no. But they aren't, look, it's not terrible. It's not like if you buy a Deliciously Ella frozen meal and stick it in your freezer and you give it to your kids on one of those nights where you literally have no time. You're not giving them fish fingers. You're not giving them like a processed chicken Kiev or whatever it is. She actually makes her food with whole food ingredients that are natural. I do have an issue with the lack of quality protein. And that's not to say you can't get good quality protein from plants, but often the meals, they don't combine the sources of plant-based protein that you need to make up a complete protein. So a lentil lasagna might just have lentils in, but actually you need some rice or something to make it good. And also there's just fuckloads of sugar and everything. So that is my answer.
There was the short answer and the long answer there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But as a person, I have no issues with her. I think she's lovely and like really nice. But I do think like as a nation, we need to have a bit less sugar, and it's not helping to make people think that they can just eat healthy sugar because it's all the same sugar.
I'll be honest, I didn't even know who she was. Which one is it? Deliciously Ella.
You thought she was someone else.
Well, there's like this Ella's Nutrition baby food or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, you thought it was those
about
sachets in the supermarket, the squeezy baby food.
Oh, dear. Okay,
Okay, time for one more question. I had a few around what do you eat pre and post swimming, but I think we're going to cover that in a separate episode. I also had a question around, do you recommend eating for your cycle? The short answer is no. Get in touch if you'd like to know why. I also had a question about sunscreen because I don't tend to wear it that much. Check my Patreon page. I have a full blog post on that. The question I will answer here is, how do you balance conflicting health advice, meat or no meat, no sugar, balanced diet, etc.? My answer to this is eat like an intuitive human. So if I was going to tell that to you, it'd be like, eat like Sophie likes to eat.
No, because then I would just eat crisps.
Okay, well then you have to start to tune into how your body's feeling. So no one body is the same. Decide where you want to place your value. The meat question for me only comes down to your ethics around eating animals, whether you're comfortable with that or not. For me, eating meat is not an environmental question, because if you still think it is, then I really encourage you to do your research into regenerative agriculture, soil health, monocropping, and the difference between grain-fed meat and grass-fed and finished and local meat. And ultimately, like I said, it's what works for you. So don't get bogged down by what your favourite influencer's eating for breakfast. I always share my plate of eggs and veg, but
I always share my Cocoa Pops and milk.
Yeah, and I'm not asking people to follow what I'm doing. It's like a resource, it's information, and I think that we all need to make our own opinions about what works for us. But ultimately, eggs and veg is a great breakfast, so there you go.
But also Cocoa Pops taste nice if you're a bit hungry and it's like 3 p.m.
Yeah, maybe on occasion.
Okay, cool.
I think we're done, right?
Yeah, should we wrap this first episode up in some way?
Well, we'll wrap it up. Should we wrap it up in the bit that we're going to record now?
Okay, cool. But we won't do an actual wrap, I don't think.
Two's company. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to our first episode of Two's Company. Just in case you're interested, everything we referenced in the show is in the show notes. You just swipe up on the podcast screen, and the links will be there. We also just want to thank Treedom again for sponsoring this episode. Again, head to the show notes for the link, and we have a code for you, which is Two's Company in capitals for 10% off. And if you enjoyed the podcast, please do head on over to the Apple Podcast app and leave us a 5-star review and a cheeky little comment, because I don't know why, but this helps the algorithm, and we'd like to get the pod into more people's ears.
Two's Company, Two's Company, Two's Company, Two's Company, Two's Company, Two's Company. But not 3, that's too much company.
Nailed it.
I know in this episode I mentioned unconsensual sex. I just wanted to let anyone know if this was triggering for them, or if they're experienced anything sexual assault or abuse that they want support with, to visit rapecrisis.org.uk for support.